man that wants to play women's basketball? No.
Andrew.
The answer is no. So they get access, and then they want a concession, and then they want a seat at the table, just one seat, and then they want the table. They go after all the seats of power, and then the game is lost. That is why we have this ridiculous fantasy.
We have a liberal in here. I gotta leave. I can't be in the same room as a liberal. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Good morning, Andrew.
Morning. How you guys doing?
Doing
good,
well.
Good. How are you?
How was your flight?
Long. Just long. So I got in late last night. I was just getting up and around and having some coffee, and I noticed that there was a bunch of scumbags on a panel talking a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
I thought I'd come say hello. How is everybody today?
Good.
Oh, we're doing well. We're doing well.
Good.
There was a really good
we're underworked and overpaid.
Yeah, I saw I'm sorry.
Nadine.
Man, I'm
Nadine
terrible,
was really good with it.
terrible with names. Joe Mobley, right? That's the name.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I saw a review you did on some of my debates. I thought it was pretty well done. So I thought you were fair-handed about everything. Thought you were pretty fair-handed about everything. I do think that I do think you're wrong about James Lindsay being a great debater, but I guess that's kind of all up to the individual.
Oh, did I say that? I don't think. If I did say that, I misspoke. He's a smart guy, but he's not a good debater.
Not a good debater.
I like Trent Horn. I used to like
Trent
Knowles,
Horn's-
but he's actually terrible now. I like Trent Horn and Larry Elder. I think those are two of my favorites.
Don't lie. You said Destiny was.
Wait, Glenn, did you say my name? I wasn't listening. You say my name?
Well, there's interestingly enough, there's a delineation I didn't hear you make, but maybe you just weren't thinking about it, or perhaps you just don't think about it this way. But there's you're talking about two different tiers there, right? So Horn is a religious debater. He doesn't really debate any kind of normative claims around politics, right? He only debates normative claims around Christian ethics. And so I'm not sure. Like I like Trent, and I think he's a very skilled Christian apologist for sure.
I was just going to ask, do you consider him an apologist? That's a good analysis. I think that's spot on.
He is a good apologist, and guys like Jay Dyer are good apologists, things like that. But they don't do normative political claims, and so I've always thought
that's a really good point.
I've always thought that Christians have suffered the worst because we have really good apologists when it comes to religious claims, and we have really terrible representation when it comes to political claims.
1000% agree. And the proof in lending is, I'm sure you've heard this on the job when you were working not in content. I used to work in one of America's labs that makes little discrete technologies for human intelligence sources to use, doing whatever they do. And the PhDs in there, man, they always said, Joe, you were too smart to be a Christian. But what they're really saying is, I've observed that Christians are dumb, and they're not wrong. It's such a pain. That's why it's refreshing to hear guys like you.
It's kind of funny because they just have a bigger category to choose from, right? Because most people self-ID as Christian, and so I think it's always easy to make the claim, well, Christians are dumb. Well, it's like, yeah, well, your sample size is way bigger, right? Almost everybody you run into is going to self-ID as a Christian. Very few of them are going to more than ever before self-identify as agnostic or atheist, but still the sample size is so big that almost every stupid person you run into is going to self-ID as a Christian. What's really funny though is that so are most of the smart people you run into. So, just kind of my observation there. But yeah, I do think he's kind of back to the tier list. I do think that Horn's good debater. I've challenged him to a debate before, and it was on kind of red pill ideology. These guys like Knowles and Horn, they do pretty good against Pearl Davis, who's not a very skilled debater in any sense. So I said, well, I'm happy to kind of take up the torch of many of these talking points she has, which I think are misrepresented. And unsurprising to me, they turned it down, both of them, Knowles and Horn. So it makes me wonder if they really don't want to tangle up with those talking points. I think that they would have a harder time refuting them than people think.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said different tiers. And Grid, I was talking to you about this after Aiden. It's clear, Andrew, when you're debating that obviously you've done your prep, which at the bare minimum is watching and listening to some of their arguments, understanding those arguments so that you could articulate them yourself, and then building your counter. Knowles pissed me off because he lost 2 debates, or they were really close, that should have been knockouts, and it was Pearl Davis, and it was a piece of content that he did with Destiny. And I'm like, you didn't prepare at all. You thought that you could wing this, so that knocked Knowles just out of the tiers completely.
Well, let me tell you some insider baseball that might that you might enjoy. So the Knowles debate, I worked with hours with Pearl prepping her against Knowles, so that she was prepared for his talking points, and with that little bit of prep, right, she did fairly well. She did fairly well, and he did very poorly because she was ready for his worldview. He wasn't really ready for hers.
Yep. And he didn't make a good case for marriage because of it. It really kind of showed.
Well, none of them make a good case for marriage because Catholics always just move to natural law. That's right, which it's really, in my opinion, very low tier arguments. Like, well, you should be married because you should be married, right? Like, you should be married because the order of things says that you should be married. So basically,
I'm gonna chase the squirrel for 2 seconds. Neakis, Christ was not a Christian. That's just and everything else that you type there is just dumb.
And I'm never gonna do a paternity test with my slut wife either. So,
oh, are we trying to go there?
Andrew, what do you think about licenses? I went on a rant about licenses.
Oh, last night. That was crazy.
You mean marriage licenses?
Any license, a license. Just the premise is a once free person asking the government permission to do something.
Well, I'm not a libertarian, right? So, I'm not a libertarian at all.
Andrew is the farthest thing from libertarian.
Yeah. So I think some forms of licensing are probably fine. Depending on public use, I think that they're probably fine. I think that some things, though, which are licensed for revenue streams have messed up some things very badly. Marriage licenses, for instance, I think that those have messed things up very badly. Licenses to operate a motor vehicle, on the other hand, not so sure that that's messed anything up badly.
Here's another, maybe a follow-up, different way to think about it. Once upon a time, to do a trade, sometimes you did need to do higher education. Like medicine has gone through higher education for hundreds of years. That's not a new thing. But you used to have to be under someone's tutelage. You have to be an apprentice. And that's what gave you the right to hang a shingle. You know them by their fruits. You can see this person's work product and know its quality. And if it's trash, they're going to get run out on the rail. They can't do that grift here anymore.
Well, I actually have a problem with this premise. It's not true. So they were gilded, right? So they weren't actually just master to apprentice. They were gilded. And so the guild was a central authority which licensed these individuals to do their trade. While it's true, I'll grant to you that most people followed in the footsteps of the trades of their family members, though some went off and boarded with their masters. most of these were licensed guilds, and those guilds held authority from the crown. So, so
Now
no, I
that's
kind of
true.
have to.
This is what Samantha was missing last night. That's
So
true.
I kind of have to give a refutation here that, when it comes to licensing, that there was a significant amount of gilding, and you could even say kind of an appeal to the greater authority, right? And this was for everything. I mean, there was an actual guild for cutting up horses who died in the street called knackers, and they were a guild who would, oh, your horse died, well, we'll go ahead and cut him up for meat right here in the street and compensate you right here. Not a joke. So, and there was a guild for that, and if you had a guild crest, what else is that but a license, really?
But those were not overseen by the. I think what we were talking about last night.
They were overseen by the crown. Yeah, guilds were overseen by the crown.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I was more specifically speaking of in the U.S., but sure, in the crown.
So, Andrew, what are your thoughts on mandatory paternity tests?
Yeah.
I mean,
hold on. Before Andrew goes on that, guys, I love the stream. Glenn, I will try and join you. I can't make my son wait. We're going on this camping trip.
No,
so I
no
gotta
camping.
have the car loaded before the 12. Yeah, always a good time, man. Oh, I can't believe you're still streaming, man. Godspeed.
Like
have a good one,
I'm
everyone.
getting ready to wrap it up.
Andrew, keep kicking in the backs of stupid people. It's awesome to watch.
Well, do have a good one, Mr. Mobley.
Bye, Joe. It was nice meeting you.
Have a great day, Joe. So, Andrew, these mandatory paternity test ideas, what are your thoughts on them, sir?
I think genuinely it's a pretty good idea.
I disagree.
I agree with you. Our friend Grid here is lost, and we need to bring him on.
I dislike anything with the word mandatory in front of it.
Why?
Why?
You're gonna be wrong on this ethical argument.
Wrong. You're wrong. Anything? Okay, so
really?
It's mandatory.
If you're a virgin,
hold on,
I don't think so.
Hold on. It's mandatory that no matter what your religion or anything, you have to get a circumcision. Mandatory.
I'm not circumcised. But go ahead.
Right. Okay.
Paternity test.
You're not right. What? Right. So would you
I was
like?
also born in a third world country. But go ahead.
Hang on. Well, maybe we can untangle a couple things here.
That's a false
dichotomy. So the first thing to untangle is I don't think that you're against anything that's mandatory. So it's mandatory that you're not allowed to commit suicide. That's mandatory.
Okay, I can agree there.
What do you think about that, Grid? Do you think that should not be mandatory?
I think that the government has no place to prevent you from ending your life if you want to.
But there's a law.
But wait, why? Like, what benefit is it to society that you mandatorily are not allowed to kill yourself? Like, what's the horrible thing?
Society.
No, I think there's a huge benefit. I think there's a huge benefit to saying no, you're not allowed to do this, because this would mean then if you're trying to, you're in the commission of a crime, right? And I can try to stop you. I can try to stop you. So if you're about to jump off a bridge, I can use force and stop you. You're in the commission of a crime.
You could do that anyway.
Well, no, you can't do that anyway. If it was your right, then I would be impeding on your rights.
Sure.
Yeah, so I couldn't stop you. So I would say, yeah, exactly. We do. But what I would say is that like if let's say one of your children or mine or anybody else's, they were, we like nobody really knew, but they were going through some type of like temporary heartache, and this happens with teenagers a lot. Let's say, and they're like, well, I'm 18 years old, and it's time for me to get on that old Golden Gate Bridge and take the big leap, right? And somebody saw them. Well, you can envision if there's no protection for utilizing force to stop a person from doing something like that, that less people would be more inclined to interfere. And I would not want, I would want the interference of Samaritans, right? I would want them to stop this this act of temporary
madness. There doesn't need to be a law for that it doesn't need to be illegal for that to occur.
I wish that were true, but you can agree with me that we live in a society filled to the brim with frivolous lawsuits. I would agree with that,
But you
Yeah,
would
I
have
would
to,
counter.
would you
Go
not then
ahead.
have to agree with me that we live in a world where most people don't even understand or know the law, and even with an understanding of the law, that if I saw someone who was genuinely trying to commit suicide, I as a good Samaritan could it would be my choice whether or not to help them, regardless of what the law says.
Yeah, but what it gives you is protection. It's like saying, so for instance, I would say laws that say must, right? Must would be
Mhm.
mandatory, right? Those would be mandatory,
Uh,
correct?
I don't know. I don't know that must is always mandatory, but sure.
So
Okay.
like
For the purpose
so
of
like
the
a
argument, let's go with it.
yeah, so like a firefighter. Let's say the law was written that said if a firefighter shows up to a fire and people are trapped inside, they must make reasonable attempts to save these people.
Well, I think the word reasonable there negates the must.
No, it doesn't. Right? It doesn't negate the must because they still must try. Right? They just must do it in a way which is reasonable. Right? So maybe these people are engulfed in flames. They can't get
Sure.
near them.
I
They
just
couldn't
think
do
it's so
anything.
hypothetical that it's irrelevant. I mean,
It's
I can
it's
say
not hypothetical because cops have no mandatory edict to show up to a crime.
that is correct. They have it has been proven time and again to that cops have no duty.
Yeah, they have no duty.
To save your life at all.
Yeah, but so why wouldn't I want to make that mandatory? Like if you're in uniform and you're getting paid, it's mandatory that you show up to a crime.
Morality. You cannot.
Yes, you can mandate morality. We do it all the time. Are people allowed? So by this argument, if we got to the entailment of the argument grid,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
why should we make a law then that if it's non-reproductive, a father can't have sex with his daughter if it's non-reproductive? Why shouldn't we have a law that's mandatory? You can't do that. It's mandatory. You're not allowed.
I mean, we do in fact have that law. I don't
I know.
I
But
don't know.
that's mandating that's mandating morality. We're mandating morality. But tell me, Grid, who are they actually hurting?
Are we actually? I mean, we're saying that something is for, I guess, maybe the public good or.
Well, how's it for? Explain how it's for the public good.
Hold on, because this is. I have to kind of follow this through the entire logic train, because father with the daughter, doesn't that only apply while they're a minor? I can't incest occur when they're adults?
No, you're not allowed to do incest as adults.
Really?
No. Yeah, really.
Okay. All right.
What?
I'm just trying to understand the law. I don't understand
there's only two states in the entire union which allow these coupleizations, and even then, that's it's usually negated at the first cousin, which is gross enough, right? But how's that not? I think that's not only for the public good, but how's that not mandating morality? And why would you even be against it?
Well, my personal viewpoint's irrelevant. When we talk about mandatory, we're taking away my personal viewpoint.
Well, no, I don't think we are.
Public good with the public good, so to speak.
Well, okay. Well, either way, I
just like most things that where they say mandatory. I just dislike it.
Yeah, I get it, but that's what is in question here. That's what I'm disputing here.
Which is why
I don't believe
mandatory paternity tests are a bad idea.
Yeah, that doesn't assist me in following the entailment of your logic. So let's start again with incest.
Mm-hmm.
It is mandatory. The law says must. You must not have sex with a member of your family.
So that's a that is a that's a preventative measure that says that you cannot.
For what?
It doesn't say that you must do it.
No, you must not do it. Just like you must not murder.
We're not. So if you say that we must not have a paternity test, I could agree with that, because
but you said that must is mandatory. How is it not?
Because that little word after that is important.
Well, what does must mean? Have to?
Yeah, sure. You have to. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
agree
what
with
does
that part of it.
mandatory mean?
However,
What does mandatory? Hang on. What does mandatory mean?
mandatory means that you have to do it. Sure, I agree
Yes,
with
yes.
that.
So must. So then these
When
are all
you're saying
mandatory
that you
statements.
must not, that is different than you must.
No, it's you have to not. You must not.
It's
you
a
have
it's a
to
it's
not.
a
Nadine,
it's
respect to
going from a
1v1.
negative to a
Back to
positive.
1v1.
That's literally so. One says that you cannot. That's preventative. The other is compulsory, saying that you must do this. Period.
Okay, got it. Then if that's the only quibble,
So this would so
then here's the law. Then here would be my lawful count. Okay, go ahead.
The entailment of that would be is that if someone passed a law that said you must have sex with X, okay, instead of you must not have sex with X.
Okay, that's
Not
fair. So if that is your quibble, right?
Mhm.
Is that must not mandatories are fine, but must mandatories are not,
Sure.
then you must not interfere with a hospital giving you a paternity test.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I can agree with the option being there.
Okay, but hang on. What I'm saying, no, it's not an option. It's not an option. The hospital, hang on. The hospital must not disagree with the mandate of the state to give a paternity test. And the person must not resist the hospital giving them a paternity test. So it's still a mandate. We just added the word not.
But it's still, well, at that point, you're compulsory. It's still compulsory.
That's right. That's right.
That's just not. That's like. So let me reframe this argument a little bit. I haven't folded. Are we not, men? Shut the fuck up. You're an idiot. So here's the deal. Are you okay? Let me frame this correctly because this is there's room to get out of there. In theory, every child that goes to school must receive inoculations. Is that true or false?
False.
That is false. Why?
Yeah. Because there's like a right to some type of bodily autonomy inside of the United States in which people can enforce in certain ways, this type of thing. However, I'm just going to grant that there's some type of bodily autonomy right. Mm-hmm. Do you have a bodily autonomy right to get an abortion?
I disagree with the murdering of a child.
Our point is that the point then would be is that while we could agree that there's some kind of bodily autonomy which exists, we're not going to be able to agree necessarily on what the limits of that are. Sure. So me saying that they put a Q-tip in your mouth and swabbed your cheeks, I'm not so sure what that's violating exactly.
Well, it's not a question of violation. Mm-hmm. To me, it's a question of I just don't like it that you would say that it has to be done. I understand.
Yeah, but I just don't like that you don't like that it has to be done.
Position so that we can argue this.
Okay.
More than just I'm against mandatory anything, but I do believe that it is a good thing for most, if not all, children to have their DNA checked at birth, or recorded. If for nothing else, then it's on file as
we have to.
Hold on.
Before you make this argument, we got to go back. Actually, we got to go back just a second for clarification, because I'm still going to contend that you don't have a problem with mandatory anything. Like you don't have a problem with mandatory bank regulations against predatory loaners, right?
Well, the definition is always a problem. What's predatory?
Yeah, but I mean, if it was defined however it was that you thought,
if you could come up with a definition to protect people and is very targeted, then sure. But that's not mandatory. Not every human being in the state is going to have to live with that, right?
No. I mean, every bank who is a bank is going to have to live with whatever these mandatory regulations are.
Again, that's not citizenry. I mean, that's not me.
I mean, I don't know what else it would be. It's a collection of individuals who are running, this establishment.
I mean, the argument for mandatory is just, to me, it's an interesting argument to always have, because on the one hand, you have people say, well, mandatory gun training should be a thing. You should not be able to own a gun without having mandatory training. And of course, I'm against that 100%. I disagree with that. Where I can see the value in it, I also see where it can be abused. I do not
Yeah,
like.
but this is shifting the goalpost a little bit, though, right? A business is just a collection of it. It is, because a business is a collection of individuals.
Sure.
So
Okay.
if there's mandates,
I agree with
if
that.
you believe in mandates on businesses, then you believe in mandates on individuals.
I, in general, do not like individual mandates on individuals.
Yeah, that's not the same as saying that you don't believe in them, though. Saying that I don't like
can't think
most.
of one that I do believe in, though. I'm trying.
Well,
to
I gave you a great example of banks giving out predatory loans.
You just said that's a business issue, and I can agree with
well,
you.
Okay, but a business is a bunch of individuals.
But
so you're just making mandates on individuals, right? Like a brick and mortar place doesn't have an ontology. Like
my counter,
a bank has no
every single
ontology.
person who owns a firearm should have firearm training before they're allowed to touch them. Stands.
Yeah, but here's I don't really understand the argument, because you can say that you believe in mandates of some kinds, and still say that you don't think it makes sense that citizenry must have required firearm training. You can both be true.
And it doesn't make sense to me to have mandatory DNA test for paternity.
Yeah, I know, but we're not to the point where we're arguing that point yet. Okay. Right now, we're just arguing the point about whether or not grid one
mandates are okay.
Okay. Yeah, right now we're just arguing whether or not mandates of any kind are okay or acceptable.
I can agree with mandates in certain situations.
Okay.
Are okay, such as
like the draft.
Sorry.
Like the draft.
I mean, I disagree fundamentally with the draft, but I understand the need for it.
Okay, so then you wouldn't be against the mandate of the citizenry being compelled and forced into the service of.
No, I disagree with it. I just understand the need for it. I would not. I'm saying that I can both of those things can be true at the same time. I can disagree that this is wrong. I can say this is wrong, but I understand the need for it, and so that supersedes the fact that I think it's wrong.
Okay, but if there were a vote tomorrow to abolish, compulsory service via draft,
long and hard about it because of the way.
well, then it sounds like. Then it sounds like, even though that's kind of the ultra mandate, right? We mandate to send you off to war and you die.
Right. Yeah, and you die.
And you still are like, well, I'm not really willing to say that such a mandate is immoral or wrong. I may not believe in it, but at the same time, we need it. That sounds like kind of the ultra mandate, in that you're kind of for it, Grid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the fence on that because it is the ultimate mandate, right? You're going to kill. I mean, basically, you stand the choice of death. I understand why it's needed. I disagree with it in principle, and I really disagree with it with the way that we currently structure our military and all of that. I don't know that I would, if they said that we needed the draft. I'd have to think about it a long.
Okay, well, what about in this scenario? Okay, so let's say 100,000 years ago, human beings were super advanced, and they got space flight, and they went and colonized some other galaxy, and they are coming back for Earth. Okay, and the governments of the world institute a general draft for the citizenry, the global citizenry of the world. Would you be against that?
Yeah, I probably would be. I mean, I can't think
so,
I don't know.
Really? So
that's
like
that's a really interesting okay. I don't okay. You're gonna have
Grid, you have the most ambiguous worldview, to be honest. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't, and that's okay. I don't need to have I do not have to have a clear.
Well, I mean, and the thing is he doesn't, right? And the thing is right now, all we're doing, we're just kind of looking at consistency for the position, right?
Sure.
Is Grid being kind of consistent in this principle as he is other principles? And to be fair, like so far you seem to be fairly consistent. If aliens came down and were an actual threat to the globe, and the global governing power were like, look, we have to compel everybody into some kind of military service
Yeah,
for planetary defense, you're still like, well, I think no. And it's like, at that point, if it's like,
I agree the need is there, but at the same time, it's just that, look, my grandfather was drafted.
So was mine.
I knew a lot, we talked a lot about it, and he talked about how he was never actually that. I mean, he was obviously proud they won the war, but he was never proud of his service because he was drafted, because he was.
Yeah. But there's plenty, but there's plenty of draftees who are.
And, that really sticks in my head. And I think
there's plenty of draftees who are plenty proud of their service.
Yeah, bro. Absolutely. Yeah. And he was proud of what he was proud of the people he was with. He wasn't proud of the reason he went, if that makes sense. And so, and that,
but we just assume
that's
that there's
just
a
duty and obedience.
Yeah, but we just assume that there's a noble cause. Here, I just gave you a noble cause, right? Like, okay, this is a fight for our very planet's existence.
Yeah, I mean, and at some point, I would have to say, yeah, because it is a fight for our lives. Just because I disagree with it doesn't mean that it's not a necessary thing.
Well, right. Well, then, if it's necessary and mandatory, and at some point you would go for it, then making the ultimate mandates on people is not a thing you're against. It's the reasoning.
Yeah, the reason.
All you're looking for is the reason for the mandate.
Sure.
Okay. So if that's the case, and now we can move on to part 2.
Sure.
Grid's not really against mandates. Grid just wants reasoning for mandates, and then he'll support the mandate. Is that more in line with your view?
Yeah, I'll support it under protest. Absolutely. Yeah, sure. We can go with that. Absolutely.
Well, then I'm afraid I don't think we can move on then, because because if you're supporting it under duress or protest.
I mean, okay, look, let's just grant it for the sake of argument. I will grant that. Sure, at some point, mandates can be okay.
Okay, so then mandates them. The reason. Okay, so here's the reason why this was important to establish.
Yeah.
It's important to establish because I want to know if we're arguing about whether or not mandating a thing is immoral, or whether or not we're mandating only this specific thing is immoral. And if we're mandating that, or if we're arguing that mandates themselves are immoral, that's a different argument, because paternity test and everything would fall under that, not just paternity test. In this case, it's just paternity test. So you see why in this case we had to get that clarified?
Yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree. And I agree with why. I like to be pretty consistent with where I'm at. In general, I disagree with. I'm a small government, less government the better kind of guy, and I kind of
so I would say then I can give you my argument first, and then I'm going to shut up and let you talk. So my argument is that perennial, or what is the word here? It's too early, but what is the word for? Is it perennial, or is it perennialism, where it's from father to son? Is that the word?
Oh no, paternal.
Nope. There's another word for it. It's somethingism. I don't remember. Okay, I can't think of the word. Chad will help me out, right? It's too early. I haven't had coffee yet. Okay, but anyway, well, I'm having coffee right this second. So
I was.
Most of human history, right? The establishment of paternity has been kind of the mainstay of what has kept societies in balance. And here's why. Because everything has always gone from the principle of sire's name to son's name, right? Sire's name to son's name. Now, uniquely in the West, that is no longer the case. Due to egalitarianism, now it can go from the mother's name to the son's name as well, right? Yeah. Which I would argue is a worse system, but that's neither here nor there. That is the system.
Right.
So if this is the case, and we're shifting from duties to rights, then I would argue that every child has a right to know who both of their parents are. They have a fundamental right to that.
Okay.
And that a woman cannot conceal that and should not be able to conceal that from the child. And since that is the case, I would argue that because this is essentially a non-invasive test, that that having it mandatorily done at birth before the guy signs the birth certificate. Just meaning this: the woman doesn't have to do it, right?
Mhm.
But the man cannot sign the birth certificate until it is done.
And I would agree with that. I believe that every man should
Well,
have
that's
the right to demand. So my position.
no. Hang on. Then you don't agree. So let me clarify again. No man may sign the certificate of birth that he is indeed the father,
Sure.
unless this is proven that he is the father through paternity testing.
Oh, you mean he just can't? He can't do it at all.
He can't.
without-
He can't sign the birth certificate until it's proven that he's the father. Yes, that would be the law.
I would disagree with the law worded in that way.
Yeah.
And
Why?
here's why. Because there are cases where men would accept that child anyway and don't want to know. And by compelling them to know, it could ruin an otherwise healthy relationship.
Yeah, but my argument back is that so what? That this is not for you, the parents. This is for the child. So the child is assured of his sire.
But
The child is
if you
assured
break up
of
a
their
happy
lineage.
family, then the child has no happy family. And
Well, how are you breaking up a happy family if all you're saying is that we're going to remove delusion, and that breaks up a family, then that was no family to begin with.
I would disagree, and it may not even be a dissolution there. It may be a consensual.
Wait, well, Grit, are you?
Wait.
making-
Hang on. Under what circumstance
Okay, I'll
could
give
a
you one.
man not want to sign a birth certificate because he was unsure about the paternity of the child?
Okay,
He didn't
I'll give
want to
you one.
know, other than that the woman was fucking screwing another guy, bro.
Okay, I'll give you one.
Okay.
So let's say that for whatever reason, they go to a sperm bank. She gets
Yeah.
injected.
Yeah.
They conceive. By your rule, by your law, that man could never sign the birth certificate as the father.
No, he could sign the birth certificate.
But you just said he couldn't.
No, he
No,
could.
he said
Yeah,
he needs the DNA test before.
paternity has been established. He could sign the birth certificate.
No, because you don't know who the father is.
Yes, you do know who the father is. Why wouldn't you know who the father was?
Because
You're
not
taking
all of our
this-
DNA is in a data bank somewhere.
When you give your semen, you are giving your DNA.
Correct. And not
Well,
only
what about
that,
the
but
Hung
you
Low
are
guy
on
who
a
does
you
it?
are on a
Hung Low
you
guy
you
who
are in a
does it,
database. So
So
yeah, I don't know.
How about the Hung Low guy that goes around and does it at a discount rate?
So yeah,
Why-
so
why are
he so
you going in
so
exceptions?
yeah. Well,
Again-
actually, I'll just contend with that directly.
Sure.
Correct. So if Hung Low comes and fucks your old lady
Mhm.
and you don't know about it,
Or does the baby?
you and she becomes pregnant and you're like, wow, it's a miracle, right?
Mhm.
Before you sign the birth certificate, you're going to get a DNA test and
Sure.
you may find out that Hung Low porked your chick. I think that's
But
good.
you wouldn't
That's
have
good
his
that you know
DNA
that.
there to test against.
No, but you would
You
know it's
don't
not your DNA.
you wouldn't need his DNA there to test against. All you would need is yours to know whether or not it was your child or not.
Okay. You said the paternity has to be established before the birth certificate be signed. So you're just saying that whether the guy is a father or not, it has to be there before the birth certificate is signed.
Yeah, correct.
Interesting. So I have a different position. My position is that either, and I'm okay. Honestly, I'm okay with the DNA being taken at birth. It's just like a blood test at this point, anyway.
No, it's just
Yeah.
a cheek swab. It's a cheek
Yeah,
swab.
I mean, I'm saying it's on the level of a blood test, right? So, and we do that. Every child gets tested because they need to be typed and whatever. And I think that as we go further and further with genetics and stem cell therapy and that sort of thing, our genetic code will be more and more important to our future health care. Not mine, but and probably not my kids, but their kids more than likely. So I think that it's probably a good thing to do that. My only issue here is that if they don't want to know, forcefully informing them is wrong. I think I just
Okay.
morally object to it.
Okay.
Oh,
Well then,
man. I got
hang on.
something to say.
Hang on. Let me test this further.
Sure.
Let us assume
Mhm.
for a minute, and I'm going to give you many cases which this has happened in.
Okay.
a woman's pregnant, right, with with a child,
Mhm.
and tells a guy, hey, this is your kid, right? And it's discovered later that it is not,
Sure.
right? You agree with me that because that man has signed the birth certificate, that he still has to pay child support in many states, even
Well, in
though
2
he,
states, in Colorado and California right now.
yeah, okay, but you would, well, nope, there's been rulings outside of that.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm not. I
yeah.
mean, I don't keep up with that
Yeah.
with those laws, but my understanding is Colorado and California.
Yeah.
Where
Now the thing is like, you would agree with me that that's immoral, right?
I do, and I also agree
And that would have been avoided. That would have been avoided by mandatory paternity tests, right?
Sure. So I have a caveat here that if there's any doubt, if the man wants to know, so here's the problem I have right now with the way the system works. This is why that I on the one hand I disagree with mandatory, but I agree with the
Yeah, because you're about to tell me that it should be mandatory that if a man wants to get a DNA test, that it should be done,
Well,
right?
I don't think the wife should ever be able to block it, right? Because
Right.
right
So
now, the way the laws
that's
are in
mandatory.
California, the way the laws are in California is that if the man wants to know,
Yeah.
and he says, "Hey, I don't think I'm the kid here," he has to go to court to prove to get a court order to compel that
Yeah.
woman if she doesn't want to. If she doesn't want to, it's her say. I don't know
Well,
why it
thank
is that
you.
way.
Thank
I
you for
don't
the
know why it
mandate.
is that way. It's just the way the laws in those
So
states
that's
are
a
written.
mandate. That's a
Yeah,
mandate. So
well, here in
so
Tennessee,
you're
it's not
saying,
that way.
yeah,
If I wanted to
it's
go have
mandate.
my child tested, I could do that. I don't have to have my wife's permission. However,
Okay.
obviously in those states that's different. Now, I would say that we need to change those state laws and get rid of that whatever ridiculousness that the mother has the ability to block a man from knowing whether the child is his.
Okay.
I would agree with that more.
Okay. Well, then your whole position, I'm going to show you how your whole position's faulty, and
Okay,
I'm just I'll take the pillar out right now. So let us assume for a minute that a woman is awarded full custody of a child at birth, right? The husband is, let's say, on deployment in the military. Okay.
Mhm.
She divorces him while he's on deployment. This, by the way, happens all the time.
It does.
All the time.
Mhm.
Okay. He's on deployment. She divorces him. She gets full custody. Okay.
Mhm.
And then she requests child support. Okay.
Yes.
He says, well, I want a paternity test. The law says, well, you can have one, but you don't have any custody of the child. And we can't mandate that you see the child so that you can have this paternity test done.
Right.
Should the woman be compelled against her will to have that child do have the DNA taken from the child for the paternity test?
I mean, my personal opinion is that it's too easy to get that kid's DNA to unlawfully test it and then compel it.
No, he can't see her. She's awarded full custody. He's on deployment, right?
I mean, if he's out of the country, then
he can't see the kid. He can't see the kid.
Okay,
he can't see him.
So we
should we compel her to give the DNA against her will so that he can establish paternity or not?
I think if he gets a court order, sure.
Okay. No.
Without
a court. Oh, wait. But even with a court order, that's a mandate.
Sure, but that's an individual mandate.
Yeah. So what? You're mandating that this be done against her will.
Global mandate, and I'm saying that every case is different, and it should not be a global mandate.
Yeah, and this global mandate avoids all of the conditionals of these individual cases. So it literally voids all of them.
I'm never going to agree.
But here's the thing: even without a court order, why can't this guy just invoke his paternal right? He just says, "Well, I have a paternal right to know."
In Tennessee,
he can't. And in some states he can't.
Yeah, in some states he cannot. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So why shouldn't there be a right to know? A right to know paternity since we can know.
Well, I do agree.
This guy's on deployment.
I don't know if we're talking past each other or
no, we're not talking past each other. If this guy's on deployment,
is that at any time the man wants to know, he can demand that test. If he doesn't want to know, then he should.
No, he can't. If she has full custody of the child,
I understand
if
that he
she,
cannot right now.
bro,
I understand that.
bro,
I understand
if
that.
she has full custody of the child anywhere, she has
Sure.
full custody of the child. Okay. She writes down that guy is the father
Mhm.
of the child. He's on deployment. She gets
Mhm.
full custody. She can bar him from ever seeing the child. No DNA test now possible. Are you okay with mandating that if he says, I want a DNA test, that the state compels her to give him one?
Again, that's a court issue that they can solve in court. So I understand where you're going with this. I agree that at any point, a man who wants to know, who needs to know, because he's in that situation, should be able to compel a DNA test. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, then it's a
In that
mandate.
situation, you're saying
So-
that at birth, basically, maybe I'm wrong here. You're saying that at birth it has to happen. Period. And I disagree.
Yeah, because these situations, what I'm saying is that it's this is a way that such situations can't even be possible. Because if it's mandated at birth, before the birth certificate is signed as to who the father is, there's never going to be a paternal doubt. And so you don't even have to worry about situations like this to begin with. I would say you have the immoral position, because on the one side, you say that compelling people to do anything is wrong if it's against their will, because if they have some sort of bodily autonomy. This would include giving DNA, giving blood, things like this. But on the other hand, if there's a situation which happens where this guy is, deployed in defense of the nation, and she gets full custody of the child, perhaps even under false pretenses, this guy has no recourse whatsoever in determining paternity one way or the other. In fact, he may be protesting and saying, I never even slept with her. She just put me down as the father, right?
Right.
Nobody believes him, and he has no recourse, right?
But they
You
do
say,
have recourse.
but hang on,
They have
bro,
recourse. You can't
then
say
that's
they don't.
compelling him. Then that's compelling him. I'm sorry, but that's a mandate.
And on an individual basis, I'm all for it.
Yeah, but what's the difference? It's all on an individual basis. It's all individuals being mandated to do a
Because you're
thing.
saying that if a man and a woman go and have a child, that man is going to have to know, and there's going to be a record of it, whether or not he's that child from the word go.
Oh my God! Wow.
What's wrong with him? No.
Oh no, that's terrible. That's terrible. Then everybody's gonna. Yeah, who cares?
Some people
Who cares?
Okay, just force them to know.
But would you agree with me, Grid? Would you agree with me?
So you would hold on. You would rather force a guy to know than to let the guy not know.
Yes,
and here I can explain the reasoning here why I think
I
it's
disagree
more
100% with that position.
Well, I think you don't, because we'll test it pretty.
Show me where I agree.
Yes, we'll test it pretty quickly. Hang on, bro. So, would you agree with this statement, the following statement?
Sure.
Almost every man, 99.9% of men want to know that the child is theirs.
Okay.
99.9%. I will agree with you that there's some who don't. Will you just agree with me that 99%?
I will agree that most do, sure. And it's probably as close to 90%. Sure.
99%.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. 90. Okay. So 99%. Can you think of any other law, right, where we would focus the law and tailor it only to the outlier versus the health and welfare of the 99%?
Virtually every mental health law.
Which ones are those?
What do you mean?
Which mental health laws are tailored against the interest of 99% of people?
We literally tailor laws all the time to the 1% in this country.
What laws?
All right, I'm trying to think of an actual mental health law because I haven't actually thought of them in a long time. 1%, you can't commit anybody right now. Unless they're a danger to themselves or others.
So then you can commit people?
Yeah, but it's a very hard, and it's for the 1%.
Yeah. No, that's for the benefit. That's for the benefit of the 99%, because the state could, or individuals could make false allegations towards a person and have them locked up, as used to happen in mental asylums. That's not at the expense of the whole. That is not at the expense of the whole. And so if you have 99% of people who would want to know, we would not tailor a law around 1% of people who are like, well, I'm a cuck and I don't really want to know because I like it when my chick's in a gangbang and we're just not sure who the dad ever is, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
Yeah,
we're
I mean,
not
I
gonna
agree.
tailor.
I agree on the surface. I just think that there is that whole privacy thing. I just don't like the mandates. I just, and I agree that at any point, especially in the case of a court case, that the man should, without fail, be allowed to establish that paternity if the woman is going after him for money.
Yeah, I get it, but what I'm saying is that your position is super inconsistent because
I don't know that it is because it's
well,
the same.
is.
I look at it as the same thing with mandatory vaccinations, right? Like my kid doesn't have to be vaccinated to go to school.
Yeah, but you believe
sign a paper and say no.
in mandatory vaccinations too. Like if for instance, if there was a pandemic which had a 99% lethality rate, okay, 99%.
Like
unless you took no, they didn't tell us it was 99% ever. But even then, right? If it were so that the United States could compel everybody to take a pill and whatever this disease would go away. No, they didn't. No, bro, they didn't. Okay. These are two different situations. Okay. You're saying that giving a mandate for an mRNA vaccine, which its efficacy, which its efficacy was very much in question. I'm saying the efficacy of this pill is not in question.
Okay.
If the efficacy of the pill is not in question, it works 100% of the time, every time, or even 99.9% of the time. But the lethality of the virus and its contagious level was supreme. Let's say same things like 98% lethal or something insane like that. And there was a mandate; everybody took the pill. Nobody's going to object to that.
But we did. We just went through that very.
No,
thing.
We didn't go through
he
that.
Just told you the pill is efficacy. It has 100% efficacy. The mRNA vaccine didn't have the same efficacy.
We were told that it was
hypothetical.
Yeah. Okay.
Hypothetical.
What we were told and what happened were two different things, and people believed it. Matter of fact, the military were
mandated. The pill is not told to be.
Stop. I'm not arguing with you. I'm talking to Andrew.
Okay. Go ahead.
Don't insert yourself in the argument.
Yeah, you're changing the conditionals of the hypothetical, though. So I'm doing is I'm just giving you a logical hypothetical. So here's the logical hypothetical.
Sure.
It is logically possible, and you would agree it's logically possible that we could have a disease that had a lethality rate of like 95% or higher. Right. And you would agree with me that such a disease would be civilization ending, right?
Sure. We can agree with all of it.
So we're going to agree to all those terms. And we could agree that it's logically possible a cure for such a disease could be found that had an efficacy rate that was so ridiculously high that it essentially eliminated the disease.
It challenges the imagination, but sure.
I'm just asking what's logically possible.
We can do it.
So if it's logically possible that these two things are possible, right? Not probable, just possible. Then I can give you the conditional of, okay, now it's happening. If the governments of the world mandated that their, civilian population took this pill, what would be your actual objection to this?
What would be my objection to it?
Yeah.
If you know the pill works.
Yeah, if you know it works, exactly.
The same objection I have, or not this. Well, the same objection all the Amish have to taking any vaccine.
Yeah, but I would force them to. I would force them to take the pill. I'd literally bring troops in with heavy machine guns and grab them one at a time and force them to take that pill.
Interesting. Okay.
Because if he doesn't, then the civilization.
Because if I don't, there's no civilization. Everybody dies.
Okay. All right.
Much like how I would force a petulant child, to take their medicine to save their life, right?
Okay. I would. I just. I mentally can't get there, because people.
You would rather see the civilization end?
People choose to die all the time, man.
Well, I think that it's a much more immoral position to say that you would just kind of let everybody die so that they could be petulant children. So I'm just saying.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not okay with that. So, but I mean, if that's
We can disagree on it. I mean, it's fine.
yeah,
It's
if
fine.
that's where we're at, we're like
look. I will
civilization
die on the hill
ends.
of personal choice every time.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that's where civilization ends with grid one saying, "Damn it, if we want our civilization to end, then damn it, it's going to end." Then I can't argue past that because it's a horribly immoral position. A horribly immoral
Andrew, I think
position.
the word you were looking for is patriarchal or something. The father to son. I think I found it.
You mean
Patriarchal.
patriarchal? No, I think it's like
No,
it's.
patriarchal.
Oh
Like,
yeah. There we go.
Patrician,
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I think that's a horribly immoral position.
Okay.
I think that
I'll go
if
with
the
it.
government showed up and made you take your pill, and it actually, the knowledge of its, essential elimination of the virus was such that it could not be argued. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't make that mental leap to where that we get there.
You would just prefer just the world to end and just do the mental.
Yeah.
People
It's
choose to
better
die
for-
every day, man. Literally.
I just
Yeah,
want to
but-
go back to what
They're
I
just,
just-
but so what?
committing
And I-
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
so
not
what?
gonna
So
stop
what?
the life
In
of the
it,
whole earth. Just
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
in
gonna-
this case,
So this is
but in this case, it's
paramount to literally
self-defense.
rolling, again, this is paramount to exactly what you said. Rolling into the Amish community with machine guns and saying you're going
Yeah.
to take this shot.
Yeah, it's
because if we don't,
It's self-defense. It's self-defense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where-
self-defense.
that's exactly what happened in the last situation with the jab.
No, it's not.
another hypothetical.
exactly
The
the
pill
same
works for
analogy.
sure, 100%.
Exactly the
We know
same.
it works.
Yeah, we know it
No,
works.
the-
That's the.
Yeah, we
It's
know
not
it
the same.
worked, and every airline
can't-
pilot had
no,
to
we
take
didn't
it.
know.
Every single military, everybody in the military.
No, the United States government and the CDC never said that this thing had 100% efficacy rate. It never made the claim. It said,
did
it had
mandate-
it.
But can we agree that
Yes.
they mandated that they had to take it to?
No,
and
the federal
people left the
government never
military because of
mandated.
it, right?
No, the federal government only mandated. Well, first of all, the U.S. military mandates that you have to take your shots now.
Yeah, they do now.
All your inoculations right this second, and they've always had this as a mandate in the U.S. military. You've always had to take your shots. You don't have a choice. If you don't take your shots, you can't be in the military. That's
right.
it.
Well, I think is why we
So
don't
the
see very many
people-
Amish and whatnot.
Yeah, so the people who didn't want to take the shot, they removed them from the military. Okay. When it came to the vaccine, these restrictions were mostly put on by private businesses. No government that I'm aware of mandated its civilians all take the shot. None.
Well, it was mandated that if you wanted to fly an airliner, you had to take the shot.
Yeah, by the airliner, not by the government.
No,
the government didn't mandate that.
I believe the FAA did require that, but I'll check. It could be.
No,
It
wait,
could
but
The FAA can't
require
require
the
it.
airline would agree across.
Bro, the FAA can't require it. You have private pilots. They couldn't tell private pilots that unless they took the vaccine, they couldn't fly a plane. That's absurd. These were individual airline companies, Boeing, or not Boeing, Delta and
Sure.
all these motherfuckers.
Mhm.
They were the ones who made the mandate. The federal government never mandated that you must take the vaccine. They never made that mandate. Private businesses made that mandate.
Are we not men is spurging out in the chats?
Grid. Even if I would argue that even if the government and the military said it's 100%, it works 100%, the hypothetical isn't saying that. The hypothetical is saying that we know every single person knows for sure and tried it. For example, it's a hypothetical. It's not a perfect
I understand
kind
that,
of
and I took the
reality.
hypothetical.
So the
and applied
pill
it to reality.
100% works. Not that the government said it works. We know it works.
Yeah,
That's the
well, we know what you would
hypothetical.
do. We know what you would do in the hypothetical, which I think is an insane position, but I mean, at least we know what you would do. So I just lay your logic out, and by the logic that you laid out, the world's going to end before Grid One is going to concede that we have a pill that works. We know it works 100% of the time, rather than forcing people to take it. The few who refuse for whatever their objections are, to save humanity. Humanity is going to die and at least we adhere to the principle of what no mandates or whatever bizarre principle we're adhering to. It's just silly, right? It's kind of silly logic ultimately.
Okay.
And so I would.
But again,
So
I don't know that I just can't get past you have to do it.
Why you're scared to hurt your significant other's feelings? That's what it seems to come down to. Honestly.
No, I don't. Honestly, feelings are the least part of it.
All right, then
I
what
just
is?
want to go back to what
Just
Chris
can't
said.
take the mental
Chris said-
leap.
One
and
sec.
you can let the other-
But hold on to this for a while.
I can
right?
only listen to one person at a time.
Yeah,
and
because
somebody's got
I just want to go
bad-
back to a claim that Grid made because he didn't want it to be mandatory because it would come out and it could ruin a perfectly healthy relationship.
Sure.
You're basically saying with that logic that a wife cheating on her husband, unknowingly cheating on her husband, that the husband doesn't know about, that's a healthy relationship in your eyes?
Well, does it have to be cheating?
Well, I can't think of another way that he wouldn't know and wouldn't want to know.
Well, I'll give you a hypothetical since we like hypotheticals today.
I do.
I know that you do.
I gotta leave soon. I got a big meeting I have to attend to.
Good. Get out of here. We're fucking sick of you anyway. Fucking loser.
Yeah. All right, my bad.
No
He's
cheat.
still here. I didn't even know we let him back in.
Fucking piece of shit. Get out of here, beating cheeks.
I
That's
love
fair.
beating cheeks.
Go
man.
beat some cheeks.
Yeah, go beat some cheeks. Josie, I'm glad you finally cammed up. That's cool.
Look at him.
I'm not gonna look at it. To Teriak, my hypothetical to that would be, and I don't know anybody personally that's had this done. I've just read about this. I can't say that I have a deep understanding of it. I'm just using this as a basis for an argument. So I could be fucking wrong here. That wife can't get pregnant, buys semen, injects herself. She's not cheating. Injects herself, has sex with a husband. They have a kid. They love the kid their whole life. At some point, an organ transplant or some shit has to happen, and they're not genetically matched. And that's how the guy finds out. That's a rough time to find out.
One sec. That is a false comparison because by definition,
He already
the husband
knows.
will know. Exactly.
Yeah, he already knows.
Husband knows.
How does he know?
Because well, wait, you're saying that she goes and gets sperm behind his back, gets herself pregnant, and says it's his?
Yeah. This actually, I just read about something like this happening where somebody.
Well,
tried
then
to
that's
like
that's cheating, bro.
An organ donor.
I actually know a guy.
That's cheating.
You know a guy?
I do.
Okay.
That's
I've just
cheating.
read about this. I don't have
Grid.
any
That's cheating.
Wait.
That's basically cheating just without the penetration. It's
That's
the same.
worse.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
literally
I would
worse,
say it's
no?
worse. Yeah.
You think it's worse? Okay.
Yeah, you lie to him about like his offspring. That's awful.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
so
kind
he's
of
raising-
agree with that, but if he's happy and he's
Ignorance is
I mean, look,
bliss.
if
I
guy's
always say
firing
that.
blanks, you know what I mean? I don't know.
But
I don't know that any man wants
There's
to
a second. Hang on, Grid. There's a secondary flaw here too, which is that why wouldn't the guy want to know?
I don't know that any man wants to know he's firing blanks, bro.
Well, what would his suspicions be that this wasn't even his kid?
Right, exactly. What would his suspicions be? As far as he knows, he finally did it right.
Well, then what? All you're doing is protecting cheating women with this, Grid.
Exactly, and that's not a healthy relationship.
Yes,
she cheated. Yes.
Okay, one second. Let me see. Is a wife lying to her husband a healthy relationship, Grid? Yes or no?
I don't know. Are all
well, here, Grid. Hang on, Grid. I can demonstrate this to you.
Okay.
Let us assume for a second that your wife was in a hotel room with her boss after he had sex, and she grabbed his condom, his used condom, and injected herself with the. Hang on. She injected herself with his semen. Is she cheating?
I mean, in that case, that's cold-blooded, but I don't know.
Is she cheating? You don't know if she's cheating on you if she puts another man's semen in her vagina?
I would say so, but I don't know.
Yeah. That's cheating, bro.
There should
Come
be a
on.
mandate stopping Grid from speaking. There's no way something this immoral is so normal for
Dude, I'll argue both sides. I can argue for it and I can argue against it. I just happen to be taking this position because it's interesting to me, you dumbass.
And if you want to get Grid one's debate skills, get verbal combat debate university, guys.
I mean, I can argue
If
the
you know-
opposite
if you know-
side. I just happen
you know
to
your-
enjoy arguing this side.
You know your worldview is if you know your worldview is immoral, then you just say, oh, okay, I could argue both sides. It's like
I can argue both
that's
sides.
such bad faith argumentation.
No, that's the
Well,
best faith.
Well, I can argue.
Dumbass.
I can also argue both sides. And so,
Of
from
course
your
I
side,
can,
I just
man.
want to let you know though, from your side,
Sure.
that you're arguing right now, right, is riddled with inconsistencies. And here's the biggest inconsistency so far. I do not believe for a second that you would ever make the statement, my wife picked up another man's condom and put the semen from it inside of her vagina to impregnate herself, that you could ever say that that wasn't cheating.
And I can. And I know that I read an article recently where like pro basketball players and athletes and famous people are like, they have sex with these women with condoms on, and then they like literally flush the condoms themselves because they don't trust the women not to take them back and inseminate
As well they shouldn't.
themselves.
As well they
And then
shouldn't.
do a DNA test 3 years later and say,
Yes.
see, this is this guy's kid. And
Right.
the guy never actually had unprotected sex with her. So I 100% believe that women are definitely prey on men. that-
Well, and not only that, I'll give you another great social test, which is really fun. There was I read about this recently. This was really funny.
Mhm.
So a guy in his 20s who's a multimillionaire, he had a vasectomy, he had no children, right? And he would sleep with women constantly. And he would do his business inside of them.
Mm.
And he said, lo and behold, he said about 50% of them, once they found out that I was a multimillionaire, showed up pregnant with
Yeah.
my baby.
Sure.
And he would laugh, right? And he'd be like, oh, of course I'm going to take care of my responsibility. He said, and then he wouldn't send them anything. He wouldn't do anything for them. They would freak out. They'd call him. They'd say, and he would save all these messages of them screaming like, why won't you take care of your baby? Why I'm pregnant? Why won't you help me? You know what I mean? This type of thing.
Mhm.
And then right about the time they were always going into the delivery room, he would lay it down and say, well, by the way, I had a vasectomy. It's impossible. So you've been lying to me this whole time. And I've just been fucking with you, you stupid, crazy bitch.
Right.
And now, by the way, that's not only hilarious, because it is, it's fucking
It's
hilarious.
critical.
Yeah.
But it takes this test of to kind of its logical conclusion. The only way you could really argue this, if you say a person doesn't want to know, is that you have to make the case that it's healthy that the woman's cheating, because it's the only case I could think of where the guy wouldn't want to know.
Yeah, I don't know that there's ever any situation where we could consider cheating healthy. I disagree.
Then I think Terry
and
acts
I
correct,
disagree with people who say that
Yeah.
it is, and I disagree with all of the polygamy and all of that. I think that's all.
Then why do you protect the women that are cheating? You don't want the man to find out.
Yeah, that was one of your
kids
cases,
are-
Greg, where you said like if the guy found out that it wasn't his kid, then it ruins a healthy relationship. But by definition, you're saying that a healthy relationship includes the wife cheating on her husband.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, if he ever finds out.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
right,
still
right.
unhealthy.
Ignorance
well-
sometimes is bliss. I mean, I
Then
actually
that's
do know
really
somebody
not
that
healthy.
happened
Then
to,
that's
and they-
really not healthy, right?
Yeah. I didn't say it was healthy. I just said it
I mean,
does
If he
not
work.
doesn't find out, it's less healthy. Good. If he doesn't find out, it's less healthy to not find out.
Yeah, it's less healthy. Yeah, right. If there was,
Well,
if there-
less healthy,
so if
sure.
you're holding a secret that if your significant other knew about the secret, you wouldn't be with them anymore. That is not a healthy relationship, right?
Eh,
What do you mean?
Really be
you
quiet.
weren't hurt.
I
until
agree.
you
I
found
agree.
out,
I agree
so-
100%. And honestly, if that's one of the things where I think as long as the relationship is successful, yeah, whatever, I don't care. It's not my relationship. I try really hard not to judge other people's relationship as much as I
Just
can.
a libertarian, then.
I do, but
non-aggression principle.
I really can't hear you when I'm talking and you're talking. So try not to do that. When
Hilarious, man.
I'm sorry,
I said you're hilarious.
I try to be. Thank you. Appreciate that. now I lost my train of thought. I look, it's just there's no real situation where cheating in any kind can be considered healthy. I mean, that's ridiculous. I've heard all of the arguments. I've heard all of the arguments about how it can be. I've listened to all the polygamy stuff. I've listened to hours and hours of sex cult people talk about how it's great and it's all wrong.
You see, Agent. Hang on. Did you guys see? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to catch up.
No, I just say one phrase and then a grid. But you just contradicted yourself. You said that a man finding God.
No, I'm done with the argument. I'm giving my opinion.
Okay.
I'm done with the argument. We ended that.
Your opinion contradicts your argument.
We ended that a while back. Didn't you? Maybe catch up. Come on with us. We ended
So,
the
Agent.
I'll take the L.
Did you see that, Agent?
Go ahead.
Smith,
okay, you took the L. Okay.
Did you see that Agent Smith in the chat? He's talking about me again. He's like, most men can't satisfy one woman, let alone two or more. Like, how the fuck does that guy know so much about me, dude? It's fucking ridiculous.
That's a little sus.
Yeah. How did you,
Andrew, what have you been doing?
How did you know that, bro? Like,
yeah. Were you
Andrew,
there?
I might tell you.
Was he there?
How'd you? Hey, okay, just because I'm a fucking complete disappointment, you don't have to just like broadcast that to everybody, bro. Like, what a fucking jerk. What a fucking jerk, dude.
I will actually take the L that Andrew, when taken to its logical conclusion, you know, Andrew makes a solid point, and 100%. I'll take that. That's fine.
Yeah, but the point of debating these issues out, I think it's fine to have the alternative position so that there's a contrast, that people can see a contrast. I'm not ascribing your arguments to your personal worldview.
Yeah,
I understand that you're just arguing in the sense of trying to figure out what is the detailed truth, and then which way you go once the logic is presented. But I do think that I made a much more compelling case
I agree.
for why they should be mandatories.
Way better than Glenn's arguments. Way better. He's in a bad way.
Okay. But hang on, to be totally fair to Glenn, right? He's huge, so he's just like, well, maybe I can't argue this, but I'll just beat the shit out of you, and I think that's fine too.
Or just scare you.
Yeah, I think that's fine too.
Intimidate you into going along with.
You will still concede one way or the other.
That's right.
Glenn will mandate you the idea of mandates. So.
Yeah, I won't take Glenn's.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for letting me on the panel. I'll talk to you guys.
Hey, I
all right,
appreciate
thanks, Andrew.
I really do.
No problem. Take care.
Take care.
Have a good one. Oh, somebody took a real big L right
A
now.
little L.
No,
It
credit
You.
no, like grid. Credit to you. Credit to you. What the heck? You debate now?
I always said I don't like to debate. I never said I couldn't debate. And I told everybody to not debate me.
But
I literally warned everyone.
You decided to debate Andrew, but I mean, like, did you take debate university or something?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, like, okay. No,
I'm
but
really good at arguing.
To be honest, I think
I don't think that was an L at all.
No, that was an L.
When you
No,
take it to a logical conclusion,
No, he argued all the positions. That doesn't mean that it was his personal opinion.
No,
like he can argue, he can bring up
it
different
wasn't
arguments from different perspectives. That doesn't make it an L.
look,
But
when you
it
take it
wasn't a
to its
good
logical
argument.
conclusion of it will eventually look the main compelling purpose for a mandatory DNA test is to catch cheating women. I have a problem with the word mandatory. I don't think that, but if that is the goal, then that's the way you do that.
Like we did mandatory COVID tests, we can do mandatory paternity tests for like how many children do people have nowadays? 1 or 2? Like it's 2 freaking tests in your lifetime. I really don't think that it would be that big of a deal. People would just do it.
I mean, I didn't even go down the whole. I mean, look, there's no point in. There wasn't any point in debating the fact that you'll be in any kind of database or CDC nonsense and all of the data leaks and all that. So
And even
no,
if
Andrew
you are,
actually
it's
did
like
not
not that special,
debate
right?
my. Are we not, man? You really need to stop talking because he didn't debate. He did not destroy my mandatory argument. We both agreed that
He did.
that there
No, he
are
He's
did.
just
there are things
poking.
that are. I'm sorry.
Grit is just poking at you.
I
Don't worry
know
about it.
it's okay. I like poking back. You guys think that the thing is people think I get angry. I enjoy this. So, by the way, I'm at what am I at right now?
10K. Congratulations.
10,000.
Don DeMarco.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Congrats.
That is awesome, bro.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Congratulations.
And a lot of it is due to Glenn's superior editing ability. I'm just telling you.
Oh, Glenn is your editor?
I am the.
Yeah,
the.
he definitely helped me out on that. So
I just do what I can. I do what I can.
What computer storage do you have? Like 1 terabyte or something?
I'm sorry?
What?
Glenn, do you have like 1 terabyte storage on your computer or something?
I have a 12 gig external.
Really?
Yeah, I have a 12 gig external hard drive.
12 gigabytes?
12.
Yeah.
12 terabyte.
Oh,
12 terabytes, I'm
terabyte.
sorry.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, 12 terabytes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Yeah.
I guess I'm. I thought I'd be okay with 1 terabyte.
No, actually, I have technically I have a total of 16 terabytes of storage.
Sheesh. What RAM do you have?
What?
Like
How much
32
RAM?
gigabytes of RAM?
No, I have 64.
Shit.
RAM doesn't matter. It's all about your GPU. When you're doing video editing, it's all about the GPU.
Yeah, it's all about the GPU and its video editing.
Yeah. What's your GPU?
32.
How full are
No.
the external?
Like GeForce RTX or like 30?
Oh no, it's old. It's like this is like a 5-6 year old computer. I need to get a new one. It's like on its.
I just upgraded and it was like really the right thing to do.
I just was looking at one from Lenovo. I'm getting ready to. Once
they got refurbished GPUs on sale right now in Micro Center. Just saying.
I want to get the I forgot what it's called. I'll have to pull it back up here. Who's going live? Anybody going live?
I'm live right now.
I'm not live. I'm actually got to go inside. I haven't even had coffee yet, guys. I've not had coffee. I've not had breakfast.
Ew,
I can't believe I'm not hangry right now. Like I'm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So normally I get really hangry when I have not eaten, but yeah.
Maybe you're past that point, like the ketosis.
Yeah, I'm just in that like smooth phase.
I get that. It was actually a way of controlling my
I know what it's like to skip breakfast, guys.
Yeah, how would you feel if you didn't skip breakfast this morning, guys? I would
Teriak, what did you think of the argument? Teriak, you're being awfully quiet, suspiciously quiet for such a pasty white male.
I'm trying to be, humble, all that kind of shit. But no, I thought it was a good debate. Like, and to what Grid's point there was like arguing like in positions that you don't necessarily agree with can be a good thing because you find better arguments in terms of because you're like, okay, how do I attack my own argument? Things like that. Iron sharpens iron, all that kind of stuff. And I will say as well, it is not easy to go against the likes of Andrew Wilson. So, and like I said, you were kind of saying as well, Grid, it's like it's just more experience for you as well to go against it. You know what I mean? So, like I said, like in my personal opinion, like I'm obviously kind of like pro mandatory test, all that stuff, but I like the way you came at it. And then, like I said, just this is kind of more experience and just kind of more fuel for the tank as well,
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to, you just have to concede that the one thing that makes it okay is that men should know is, I can
That's what I've been telling you, Grid, from the beginning.
Yeah, but I have to disagree with you because it's in my nature. And when it comes down to that, whereas I can see and I can concede that there are circumstances where people do kinky shit and they don't want to know, right? Because they're it's very haram. I can concede that happens where the man wouldn't want to know. At the end of the day, I think that more or less every man would want to know and maybe should know. The thing is that the same men who do all that kinky shit, they don't want to know. but
Yeah,
should they know?
but who cares if they don't want to know? Like, what's
Well,
bad?
Well,
what's
I mean,
bad
I
for society?
believe in
Promote
personal.
Asian
What's
lifestyle
bad
in
for
society.
society?
Hey
Yeah,
guys, I'm wrapping it up right now, just so you
Yeah,
know. I'm
that's fine.
wrapping it up.
What's,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
just
gonna
real
go
quick
eat
though.
breakfast.
but
Yeah.
what's bad for society? What's bad for society if some immoral men find out that they're not, or they
Well, I
are
don't.
the father?
Look, hey, I don't disagree that immoral people are bad for society. I mean, we can certainly agree.
I'm saying if they find out, like they're
Wow,
It
you're
feeling-
still
like-
doesn't make it
Yeah.
okay. It doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
Even
But
though
what-
they're
like,
immoral.
The
Yeah.
counterpoint
Doesn't
that you
make it
could have
okay
brought up
to
was
just
like, for
know.
example, in Plato's Noble Lie, when he talks about the Republic and the structure of the Republic, is that like the ruling class, they would all basically have like these orgies, and they would intentionally make sure that they don't know who the kid is, because then there would be literally no bias in terms of the actual like governance and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right, and that was to protect the kid from being killed. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
that's another thing as well. Yeah.
That was literally to protect.
Like,
the kid.
why are you guys basing your argument on immoral
I
action?
wasn't basing an argument on it.
No, I'm
Yeah,
saying
I'm
in
just giving an
this
example.
I mean,
this example.
you should.
I'm saying this example.
You should watch more debates, because I don't have to. I honestly, and I will often argue positions that I don't have any interest at all or support at all, just because it makes it's harder to make an argument for something you don't believe in. It just is
Sure,
hard.
I agree with that. Yeah,
And
I
to
agree with
just simply stay in the echo chamber and always listen to the things that you agree with means that you will never learn anything.
Why do you assume I do that?
I've already Anson knows. I've already Ben and I've had several kind of little mini debate discussions. I like Ben generically so far has acted in good faith, so I have no problem with that.
I've had like really, really good discussions with Ben. Like, I mean, people be talking shit, but I've got nothing to say on my end. Like,
anyway, I am going to go get coffee.
do that.
My wife won't let me have donuts, but I'm sure there's some like sausage.
What
or
a
something.
queen! I love her. She's a queen.
Yeah, my wife wants.
Good, because I'm about to call it a day. I got some stuff to do, take a nap, and then do a stream later on tonight. So love, peace, and chicken grease.
There you go.
Thanks again
Yeah.
for having me.
Pow, pow.
Thank you.
No problem, you guys. Have a great day. I will talk to you all later.
Ciao.
It was nice talking to you guys.